Is it possible that both of these photos were taken by the same legendary photographer only a short time apart? Hi, my name is Marco and welcome to the Model Gene. Today we're going to be talking about Annie Leibovitz's worst photographs. Hopefully by the end of this video you will have a better understanding of what led to this result and more importantly, how to avoid making similar mistakes in your own photography. Annie Leibovitz started her career at Rolling Stone magazine, developing a visual vocabulary that defined the identity of the magazine and became the gold standard for rock and roll photography. As the years progressed, her style adapted to a more commercial sensibility, and she became known for her elaborate and expensive productions. With that being said, I have to warn you, the following images are likely to upset anyone with an artistic sensibility. In 2008, Italian coffee brand Lavazza unveiled their new calendar shot by Annie Leibovitz. These scenes depicted distinctly Italian tropes, like this reference to Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man, the famed painted masks of Venice, or Botticelli's Birth of Venus. With those images, there's nothing really to write home about. They aren't great or particularly offensive, besides the overly cyan water in the fake Trevi fountain, but I am honestly struggling to decide which of the following two images I find worse. In Roman mythology, Remus and Romulus are twin brothers who were suckled by a she-wolf that led to the founding of the city of Rome. In this fever dream recreation by Annie Leibovitz, we have a model hunched over with a fur on her back, a fake backdrop of the Colosseum, with one baby looking at the boob for milk and I guess the other baby craving a delicious Lavazza espresso. Next, we have a model in a bowl of spaghetti, her body photoshopped to oblivion to where her bones look like the noodles she was lounging in. In both of these images, a common problem is absolutely the over-retouching done in the scene, which takes us to the uncanny valley phenomenon, but let's take a look closer. Many of the issues are actually from the lighting that does not respect reality and makes the images look so cheap and fake. Here, the model's eye has been overly brightened in Photoshop, where it should be in shadow, and the shadows on the ground that were intended to integrate the subjects into the scene also look very fake. There's also a dissonance with the background and the foreground, like the lighting direction in the Colosseum that is different from how the subject is being lit. It is also very clear that the lipstick here is artificially done in post-production. Going back to Miss Pasta, there are several red flags of bad Photoshop. Despite having prop noodles that you can see in the BTS video, they opted to place her into the scene unnaturally with sloppy post-production. If you focus on the bottom part of her body, there are most of the lighting issues. The shadow on the back of her leg is very dark and crisp, which should also be seen in the noodles if it was realistic. Also, the white plate should be acting as a reflector, bouncing light back upwards so that her foot would actually be illuminated. The edge of the table is very sharp in contrast to the background, but even the uniformity of the background blur seems suspicious. If these trees have this amount of blur in relation to the subject, the fields behind them should have less contrast and be brighter if they were obeying atmospheric perspective. Despite being such a ridiculous image, it does appear to have inspired this photo shoot from a 2011 episode of America's Next Top Model, where photographer Nikos Papadopoulos had the contestants sloshing around in a bowl of Greek salad. The resulting photos are actually a lot more successful than the Lavazza campaign by Leibovitz by avoiding the same mistakes that she made. To give these photos some context, Annie Leibovitz was in a troubling financial situation at the time. Despite being one of the most famous and highest paid photographers in the industry, in 2008 she took out a loan from Art Capital Group for $24 million to help her pay back the tax liens, unpaid bills, and mortgages that were swallowing her alive. The most unsettling part of this whole situation is that she put her entire photography catalog as collateral for the loan, meaning that if she did not pay it back in time, which was 1 year, Art Capital would own the rights to every single photo she had ever taken. A year later, the loan was still unpaid and Art Capital Group sued Leibovitz. Thankfully, the two parties were able to reach a settlement agreement and she was able to keep the rights to her life's work. Honorable mention for the worst photographs in her career go to this shoot with these Kardashian women for Sears. Yes, that is what they looked like before the intense surgical intervention and before the one in the middle married Kanye West. In 2011, when these pictures were taken, the fashion industry at large were still treating them like desperate reality TV trash, but all it took was marrying someone with enough influence to get them on the cover of Vogue, and now you cannot escape this family even if you try. Do I think Annie looks back at this work with pride? Absolutely not. But if you are about to lose everything you have ever worked for, it is understandable to put your artistic integrity aside and agree to take on work that you wouldn't have dreamed of doing a few years prior. Remember, even the greatest artists make mistakes, Annie Leibovitz included.